So let's look at Java server pages, its basics and what's it about and how it works in this video. So here in a nutshell, I explain what JSP is. JSP is like when a JSP page is requested by a client, that is a web browser. The JSP engine on the server processes the JSP page, executes any Java code within it, generates an HTML page as an output. So this HTML page is sent back to the client's browser. So a JSP page acts as a template for generating HTML content dynamically, and it enables developers to mix HTML and dynamic content generated by Java code, allowing the creation of dynamic interactive web applications. So it's basically JSP page is like it enables you to embed Java content in an HTML. That's one point. And Java, it's a programming language, and HTML is a scripting language. So Java is used for backend applications, that is to do the calculations. And this calculation can be done, and the results is embedded into HTML code. And this HTML code is sent to the front end, that is where the user sees. So this is what basically a JSP is. So Java server pages basically is used for e-commerce, learning apps, and a lot of web development applications. And JSP or servlets are key components of Java Enterprise Edition. And basically, uh, Java server pages is key component for enterprise editions, and it basically the main subtopics of this are dynamic web content presentation layer, integration with EE technologies, model view architecture, and libraries. These are some points which JSPs are focused on. And JSP allows the developers to create dynamic web pages by embedding the Java code. That is, you can put Java code into HTML. This enables generation of dynamic content based on the data retrieved from databases and user inputs and other sources. And in the presentation layer, JSP offers often serves as the primary technology for the presentation layer. And JSP pages can be used to generate HTML responses dynamically and incorporating data for the application. And as for web server is a computer that basically runs websites. And example, you have a domain name server converts the URL to an IP address, which in turn points to a web server. So the web server is requested to present the content website to the user's browser. Examples are Apache web server and IIS. So basically, web server is something where your software or your data is, and which is accessed and it's sent from here to the client side. So that concept is very important to understand. So basically, web servers serves the web content to the user's browser or the internet or an intranet using HTTP. It handles basically requests from clients and processes them by executing scripts, retrieving files, and sends back responses. HTTP server, Nginx, and Microsoft Internet Information Server are some web servers which can be used. It needs to be configured, and it can be configured for various tasks like serving static files and executing server-side scripts and load balancing and security management. So these are some of the main points of web server, and this is how here I have put a small diagram. You have the browser, web server, and the database. So you, for example, you are using a travel website, you send a search query, and the web server interprets it, and then SQL commands go to the database, and with which the data is retrieved from the query, and it goes to the servlet JSPs or web server in that, and it generates the results in an HTML format and sends back it to the browser. So this is the pattern which any typical web application works to get the HTML page. Since the data is stored in the database so that it's protected, not everyone can access it directly from the client side, so it protects the data. So that's why we have three layers, which gives additional security for protecting the client data. And any web application, the basic structure will be this way. So So I want to add a bit of Java server pages in terms of model view controller architecture pattern and how they work together. So we have MVC, which you have often heard in many applications. So M is model, which basically represents the application's data and business logic. So in JSP MVC application, the model is typically implemented using Java beans, servlets, or other Java classes. And these components handle tasks such as basically retrieving data from database, which I just showed now in the other video, performing calculations and processing business rules. That is the model. So the model represents the application's data and the business logic. Business logic in the term, the algorithm or the software. And the view is the responsible for presenting the model's data to the user. So in a JSP MVC application, the JSP page serves as a view layer, and the JSP pages contain HTML markup mixed with Java code or JSTL, JSP standard or tag library that is used to dynamically generate the pages content based on the data. So you have the data and the model, and based on that, the view layer is created. That is, the data is viewed on the client side. Then we have the controller. The controller is responsible for handling the user input, processing the request, and coordinating the interactions between model and view. So in a JSP, it's between them. Then in JSP MVC application, servlets typically serve as a controller layer, and the servlets receive requests from clients, basically from the clients, and invoke appropriate methods to on the model and perform business logic, and then forward the request to the appropriate JSP page. So the model view pattern is a very interesting pattern which is used quite often in the web applications to separate the concerns within the application, making it easier to maintain and modify. So you separate the model and view. So the application, the logic which calculates the things is separated from the view. So even later the view changes, that is the front end or the how the website looks changes, the model and controller can still be the same. So but if you put everything together, then you would have to change everything. So that way MVC is very useful without having a tight coupling between them together. So this promotes basically reusability, scalability, and maintainability. I hope you got a short understanding of what Java server pages are and how model view controller works, and a very basic rudimentary understanding of how a web application might work. So do leave a feedback and also ask questions so that I can help you more. And thank you for watching this course.